Los Angeles on the Republican line. Good morning.
Well, good morning. What a great conversation to wake up to. I have a comment for each of for each of your guests.
We know how you feel.
I'm a gay Republican Catholic also, and it's
you
good
are?
not to feel alone out here.
You make me feel less alone, too.
I would have thought one of the charms of being a gay Republican Catholic would be how few of you there were. It's a very exclusive club.
There are many, many more of us than you would ever believe, Christopher.
No,
Mr.
I think plays heaving with them.
Mr. Hitchens, when you're at the Nation, do you ever get tempted when you're meeting with Katrina Vanden Heuvel to just reach over and slap that smile off her face?
Oh God! Thank God that was the. For a minute, I thought. For a minute, I thought that you were referring to the only temptation I have ever felt when in the presence of Katrina, which was a far more gallant one, I may assure you. Than that.
Gallant?
And well, gallant, more tender. No, I have to say I resent the question. No, I would not, and damn you for asking.
Let's ask the fella from Los Angeles.
Damn your impertinence.
Why he asked.
He's impertinent. This man was asking us if we were rich.
Perhaps it
This is the most impertinent man on American television right here.
Mr. Los Angeles, come through, please.
I just found her to be a little bit disingenuous during the entire election fiasco.
Oh, you can say that again.
And it was very difficult for me. It's still very difficult for me to even watch her.
Well, look, I'll tell you this for nothing. It makes me laugh the thought that anyone would ever have wanted Al Gore to be president, let alone Mr. Lieberman as vice president. And I must, there are millions of people around the country now who must be just so relieved that their vote didn't count. And I've said that in the Nation. But excuse me, that wasn't what you were asking. I mean, Katrina is very intelligent, very serious, very thoughtful, and in my opinion, fabulously beautiful person.
And also, I think she deserves an award for being...
The only temptations that I feel when I see her are entirely congruent with being not either gay, Republican, or Catholic. Thank you.
Of course, she also deserves an award for managing to reconcile completely unimaginable wealth and socialism. But there you go. That's a contradiction.
There's going to be a lot of low blows flying around. I mean, I think that anyone seeing her, as Burke said of Marie Antoinette, every sword will fly from its scabbard to avenge a look that was in the wrong way directed at her.
Baltimore, you're next.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a quick one-line quote, and then I have a question for Christopher. Benjamin Disraeli once said, "The world is governed by very different personages from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes." I know we've had shadow governments in local and state, and I'd like to ask Christopher who he thinks really runs the show.
One of the great things about living in America is the fantastic number of beliefs that there are about who's really running it. Which is, the Constitution says, should be, as it were, you and me. There are people who believe it's the Illuminati, there are people who believe it's the Jews, there are people who believe it's the Freemasons, there are people who believe it's just corporate America or the military-industrial complex. I think that there is a danger at the moment that there's too much of a lottery about who controls things, and that the price of entry into that lottery is very expensive. What I meant earlier by the relationship between corporate culture and organized crime with the Enron business. I hope and believe that many Americans, despite their current sort of patriotic unity, are really annoyed, if not incensed, at the ease with which rich crooks can get access to the highest circles of the government.
Mr. Sullivan.
And the way in which the government considers that that's nobody's business but theirs. Now, there should be a real outrage about that.
The critical catalyst for that particular cancer on this republic was Bill Clinton, who was the most aggressive quarter of corporate money for his own campaigns and others.
I don't disagree, except that I'm not sure he was worse than Nixon in that way.
Can I ask you both quickly?
He was as bad. He wanted to be as bad.
A current matter, please. Back in the fray. Gore announces PAC, gearing up for possible 04 presidential run. This is the New York Times, page A19 today. He'll give a speech in Tennessee on Saturday night, $25 a head fundraising rally in Nashville. We will be covering it live. Both of you, we know where you're coming from. Let's just keep on going. Warren, Pennsylvania. Warren, Pennsylvania, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. Concerning the greatest nation on earth,
yes, sir.
We are in a lot of ways, but if you take standard of living and infant mortality, two of the most important things to me, were not even in the top 10. And if you take socialized medicine, we're the only democracy on Earth that doesn't have some form of socialized medicine. I work on a loading dock, and I ask all the Canadian truck drivers that come in how they like their medical coverage, and to a man and woman, every one of them has said they like it. I feel that they're a democracy and they vote. If they didn't like it, they would vote it out.
Thanks.
I would actually, sorry.
It's very hard to vote out massive bureaucracies once they get entrenched with government money. You should ask them also whether they like their high taxes and the quality of care that they get. And that seems to me the more relevant question.
He was, though, implying they do.
Well, there's obviously a diversity of opinion in Canada about that. All I can say is that in the United Kingdom, the home of socialized medicine, the collapse of that system is now the biggest subject of domestic debate, and some public-private mix, some variation of that is necessary. I would also say that the free market in medicine in this country is one reason I'm sitting here talking to you today, that the reason why this country has provided the most massive majority of new medical breakthroughs is because it's possible with the free market in pharmaceuticals and in medical care to actually have incentives to produce new cures. And certainly the treatments for HIV, which have allowed many of us to stay alive for so much longer, are directly a product not only of, again, public-private mix, the NIH funding of basic science, but also small companies risking a lot, making new cures, helping us stay alive.
How long have you been HIV positive?
Coming up for 9 years.
This email, would both of you please go out on a personal limb and give C-SPAN's audience your prediction of whether you believe George W. Bush will be given a second term as President of the United States, and please share the reasons you see it playing out the way you do, from Mike McAnally, I believe, Round Rock, Texas. Quick, please. We got to.
Yeah, okay, I would say yes, and I would say the main reason was that I can't think who the Democrats would even contemplate running against him, or any other Republican,
And
not just
so
against the successful.
I would say I have no idea. I'd be foolish to say so. The world can change overnight. I would say that the Fox News poll, in the middle of this 84% approval rating, showed Bush's re-elect numbers still only at 49. Very interesting.
The Democrats are still amazingly clapped out as a party.
Well, of course,
Johnson
looking forward.
City, Tennessee, you're on. Go ahead.
Oh, good morning, Brian.
Hi.
Christopher, and Andrew. How are you today?
Good.
I was
So-so.
listening. Pardon me?
We're both feeling a little so-so
So-so.
here. It's like the crack.
Yeah,
it's
this
like
is
we're
new
still-
for them. They don't like getting up at this hour. Go ahead,
Oh,
caller.
okay. Well, I've been up since 7, so anyway. I was very taken aback by the rude statement from the previous caller, who evidently thinks they're a Christian because they can be rude, but we Christians can't be rude. And I was very taken aback because of what she was saying was actually stemming from what happened in the Garden of Eden, and Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, and that was after, this fall of mankind. The sin entered the world, and people forgot who God was and wanted to go their own way. And from that, wanting to go their own way has stemmed forgive me for this, but perversity of marriage that was ordained by God in the Garden of Eden between a man and one woman, one man, one woman. And everything has stemmed from that. Well, the previous caller went to the far extreme into bestiality, and that is so abhorrent to God, as is anything that is of His divine nature.
Thanks, caller. Let's start with Christopher Hitchens on this. What are you thinking?
I was thinking about the talking snake and the Garden of Eden and all these sinister fairy tales. The caller sounds so sweet. I almost don't want to say what I think about the horror of these beliefs.
You do not believe any of this?
I think it is a very nasty fairy tale, and I'm very relieved that it's not true.
Are you an atheist?
I'm an anti-theist. In other words, it's not that I don't believe that there is a God. I think that the discovery there isn't is a huge relief, because it would be like living in a celestial North Korea if